Hello and welcome to Tuesdays with Annette. I'm so glad you joined me today for our home ec with Annette class because today we're doing a super easy recipe. It's out of book 2, which is a fabulous book because it also has the Christmas section. Hello, isn't it 11 weeks till Christmas? Oh my goodness. Anyway, this is what we're making on the show today, the Peppermint Bubble Bar. Now the reason I chose this recipe is because it's actually changed. So I'm going to talk to you about that shortly. So I'm just going to move this over here for now. But before we do anything, let's go wash our hands because we want to be nice and clean and hygienic when we're cooking. And I'm using the doTERRA On Guard. So it doesn't even need water with it, and it's a bit stinky, but I feel like it's because it's stinky, it's probably really good for you. But it's a good habit when you start cooking to always go and wash your hands first. Whether it's COVID or not, it's always been a good thing to do. All right, so let's rinse our hands. You might have already done your hands before we started because you know I always start with this on a Tuesday, and on a Thursday I always do it before we start the show. Now, the winners from last week's show, my gosh, you put some beautiful photos up, made me fizzy fabulous. I felt so excited to see your gorgeous honey mustard chicken recipes. And the 3 lucky winners this week were Wendy O'Brien, Joan Morley, and the fabulous Jessie Claven. So you girls have all won a personal signed copy of book 5. I've already done it. It's in the mail, ready to go. So now for this week's recipe, let me talk about it just quickly. The reason I chose this one, not only the fact that it's a fabulous one for a cooking class, especially for the young, because it doesn't need an oven. There is a little bit of chopping in the beginning, which maybe the adult can do if you've got younger children, but at the same time, it's super easy. But Darryl Lee, in the original recipe, let me just grab the original. Now, whether you've got the old version of this or this one, which is the updated, it's the same. And it says here 2 by 40 grams peppermint nougat whipped bars, in the brackets Darryl Lee. Well, let's do take 2 for 2020 because thank you, Darryl Lee, you've discontinued that bar. And it's kind of important because as I go through the ingredients, you're going to see it's one of the main things in the recipe. But I've saved the day and I have worked out another version of it, which you're getting today. But firstly, I have to apologise. There was a typo. I'm going to say it was Diane's fault, but actually it was mine. And I wrote in 3 peppermint patties, which is the Nestle, but it's actually meant to be 4. I know, I'm sorry if you're sitting there with 3, you can't make it right now. I'm sorry. So what you need to do is go back to your store and buy 1 more because you do need 4. Now, just to let you know, Woolworths have them on special until tomorrow. Like I think tomorrow they change it. They're only 80 cents each. So get a few and put them away, as long as you're not tempted to eat them beforehand. But what I love about this is the Darryl Lee bar was quite expensive, whereas these are cheap. They're normally only $1. So it's actually a cheaper chocolate to include, and you'll need 4 because with that one it was 80 grams in total, and these are 20 each. That's why you need 4. So apologies if you did get 3, I do apologise. So we start off with the ingredients of 4 of the mint patties. You want a tablespoon of golden syrup, 60 grams, or 4 tablespoons if you want to measure it with my 15 ml measure spoons. And we also, so we melt that. And then we're going to mix it with rice bubbles. And I'm thinking that, are these gluten-free? I think they might be actually. So, if you put gluten-free rice bubbles in, hello, you're welcome. Now we're going to need cooking spray to do the tray. And here's my tray, so you need a tray. So let's just check that you've got the right one. Okay, so if you've only got the 3 bars, sit back, relax, and watch the show and do it this afternoon or tomorrow. But what I want you to do is to check. This is my slab tin, okay? It's an oldie but a goodie. It looks very loved. It's 27 centimetres, and here is, it's about 17, roughly about that, for that way. So that's how you know which is the right size, because we're going to spray it and we're going to cut it into 15 slices. Okay, so hello if you've just joined me. Welcome to the show. I'm making a peppermint bubble bar, but the new version. So we're using mint patties instead of the Darryl Lee bar because it's been discontinued. I know. So that's going in the filling. Now the icing, you need 1 1/4 cups of sifted icing sugar. You're going to need 2 tablespoons of cocoa, and I always use the Play-Doh because I think it's fabulous, dark and rich and gorgeous, and 2 tablespoons of skim milk, as well as 1/4 teaspoon of peppermint essence, which you'll get in all the supermarkets. Okay, so now the props we need, I've got a wooden spoon, I've got spatulas, I've got tables, dessert spoons, measure spoons. I've got some measure cups to measure things with. I've got a bowl to make my icing, so let's put that over there. And hello, here's my sifter for the icing. You always want to sift icing. This is going to be to melt the filling in, and this is going to be for putting the rice bubbles in and mixing it all together. I've also got my scales here because I'm going to measure the butter really easily because I like simple. I hope you do too. So what we're going to start first with is let's chop up our mint patties. All right, now I'm an old girl and I remember these as a kid at school, and the other thing that I used to love that was between the two, I don't know whether you remember them, was the coconut rough. You'd get them the same in the little round shape. So who remembers that? I know, it's fantastic. So what you do is you're going to cut them and just dice them up. Roughly chop them, and then what we do is we're going to put them in the bowl. Like this gets microwaved, so it's super easy. So whether your kids are a bit young to be using knives, or if they're okay. Speaking about kids, hello, have you been watching my fabulous little Portia on MasterChef, Junior MasterChef? She's doing so well. So proud of her. It's such an exciting time for her. I've done some radio interviews with her and everything, and she just takes it all in her stride. Seriously, she's amazing. All right, so now I'm going to measure. So when you're doing something like this, I always put the bowl on first, then press the power on my digital scales because it brings it to 0. So now I can just put 60 grams, or as I said, your tablespoons, 4 tablespoons, into the bowl. And so, nearly done. So what you've done is you've chopped your patties up. Yes? I'm sorry if you have only 3. Now we're going to put in the margarine. And hello, if you've just joined me, we're busy. You've missed everything. No, you haven't. I'm making the Peppermint Bubble Bar out of book 2 with the new version. Hello, mint patties, 4 of them instead of the Darrell Lea Nougat bars, which you used to use 2. Now we're going to get the fabulous golden syrup, and we're going to do a tablespoon into the mix. And then we're going to microwave it on high for 2 minutes. I'm getting near the end of my little container here. If you were watching MasterChef last night, they did all about honey, and it was fun to watch the kids buzzing around. All right, so we've got our mint patties in. We've got our 60 grams of Floralite margarine. And now we've just put in our 2 tablespoons of golden syrup in my soapy sink. So it's 1 tablespoon of golden syrup. Let's put it in the microwave. And I'm doing it on high for 2 minutes. So now I don't need my chopping board anymore, so I can move that out of the way. And what we're going to do is we're going to get ready for mixing it up. So what we're going to do now, if you can get your rice bubbles, and we want 3 cups. Now don't be generous with this, because otherwise if you do too much, you think, oh, I'll just throw another half a cup in. It will maybe spoil it from setting and holding together well. So please check as you're pouring, you want just 3 cups. And if you've put too much in, well, that's perfect, put it back. All right, so there's our rice bubbles. I can move that out of the way. Our golden syrup's out of the way. I've got some measure cups here to use. I'm going to spray my tray. I'm going to go to the sink so I don't get it all over the bench. Now, the tip with this particular style is that this bar really is a fantastic snack for the kids as well, but I wouldn't recommend you put it in their lunch boxes because it needs to stay in the fridge. And so if it's out of the fridge for a while, it tends to crumble up a little bit. So just make sure you keep it in the fridge and it'll be fantastic. Now, if you're also thinking, gee, you know, I love this recipe, I've done 2 other types of bubble bars. So in book 3, I've done, and I think you'll be excited if you didn't know this, I've done a light Mars bar slice. Now I remember when I was a chunky chick, I used to make the traditional Mars bar and it was certainly not healthy. And if you've got an old version of that recipe, you'll see it says light Mars bars, which they've been discontinued as well. I just love companies that do this to me all the time. But in the new updated versions, I've done the recipe using the normal Mars bars, so you can check that out as well. So I've got that one. I've also got, okay, let me just get this out first. Let's give this a mix. All right, so you can see it's all mixing up nicely. So just give it a good stir. And then we're going to pop it back in for just another minute on high. And that will just have it all done. So you can see this is one of those recipes that you can do blindfold. I tell you, it's so easy. But the other one I was talking about that's in book 4 is the Marshmallow fruit bubble bar, and it uses marshmallows in it to melt it all up, and I often make that one as a white Christmas. I know I mentioned, is it 11 weeks till Christmas? Oh my goodness. And what I do is I use white marshmallows and I use the coloured red and green glacé cherries in it as well to give it that little bit of a Christmas look. But in the normal recipe you use any marshmallows you like. All right, in we go. So now the good news is this recipe is only 2.6 grams of fat per serve, and it's the same as what was in the others. So the mint patties are actually working out to be exactly the same as the Darryl Lee. So isn't that fantastic that we can still enjoy this recipe? Because when a recipe's missing something, if they don't have an alternative, what the heck do you do? All right, we are almost done here. So now you'll be able to see that this has mixed up beautifully. Look at that. So now I've got my rice bubbles in there. I'm going to get my wooden spoon, and now just carefully, because it's a bit hot, I want you to scrape every morsel of this melted mix into the rice bubbles. I've never froze it because I think freezing it might soften the rice bubbles, but it keeps in, if you put it in a good sealed container, it will keep for a few days for sure. All right, so we now have got to just give this a good mix up. And I've put a sponge under the bowl because this is another little tip that when you're, oh hello, the bubbles are flying everywhere. When you're actually doing this recipe, it's quite noisy on the bench if you are like me with the glass and the hard bench. So that's why I put, someone said, why have you got the sponge down there? That's why, because it makes it quieter. All right, take your time with this. You mix it all in. You want all that to coat the rice bubbles, so you can see, oh, I can hear snap, crackle, pop, hello. And I've never tried it with cornflakes. I've always ever done this with the rice bubbles. I don't think it would be as nice. Mix it in really well. Make sure it's all in. Here we go. Looking fabulous. Remember, we already greased this ahead. So this is your peppermint bubble bar base. Scrape all those bubbles off. There we go. And, oh look, I've missed a few bubbles, but never mind. And now put it into your slab tin. That's it. Get all them out. And as I said, guilt-free, 2.6 grams of fat for a slice. Oh, okay. Now I'm going to soak that in my sink because it's a bit sticky. What you're going to do now is you're going to flatten it out. So I've got a dessert spoon and just press it down. I reckon it's got to be cheaper than buying the bought, bubble snacks that you get for kids. And I don't know, I love it when you make it yourself because it's made with love. That's right. So I'm sorry that I made a mistake on that recipe. So you now know it's 4, not 3. And you just spread it out flat. Take a bit of time doing it. I find this sort of spoon is the best way to flatten it. And then just go along, push it down. Oh, it's a fun recipe. I love making these with my grandkids. They love it. Although, I'm sorry, but Miss Portia, Princess Portia on Junior MasterChef, did I tell you, she doesn't like peppermint. I know. So she doesn't care about this recipe. So there is our base. So what you'll do now, I'm going to hand it to Billy. Thank you, Billy. We're going to put that in the fridge. And once it's cold, you will then, because it's cold and set, you make the icing. Now, here is my pre-made one, nice and cold and set. So we can now make the icing, so let's do that. All right, so what do? We need to sift 1 1/4 cups of icing sugar. I might get a bigger cup, measure cup. Where's a 2? Here we go. Oh, actually, can I see that? No, I can't read it. Sometimes I hate it when you get these jugs, don't you? And then they wear out on the side. All right, because I want to see the 1 1/4. So get another spoon and we do a 1 1/4 of icing sugar. So it is quite a sweet dish, slice. A lot of times I don't put a lot of icing sugar on top, but with this one I thought it would need it. 1 1/4, nearly there. I hope you're keeping up with me today. Thanks for joining me on my home ec with Annette, making the fabulous, yes, what is it? Peppermint bubble bar. All right, so we're going to put this in now to the sifter. And at the same time, grab your cocoa and 2 tablespoons. Remember, it's the 15 ml. I like to push it to the edge of my container so it's flat. Always sift those in. Don't just throw them in the bowl because you'll get lumps and we do not want lumps. So let's sift that. Now, I have to tell you, I'm a bit excited here because yesterday we started the new 2020 Spring Weight Loss Challenge. We have got so many new people in. I'm so excited you're there. If you're watching now, welcome. And we're all excited because we are making some fabulous recipes up for this week. Last night's dinner was pizza pasta bake. I know, it's called Living. And so everyone was very excited. So look, it's not too late. You can still join me. We've only just started, so if you've been thinking, should I? Do it. So join me. Go to simplytoogood.com.au/membership. Okay? And come on the ride with me. It's going to be fabulous. Yeah. All right, so now to make the icing, I'm just going to move that out of the way. Here's our slice. I just like to mix the two together and we put in 2 tablespoons of milk. All right, so skim milk, of course. All right, so let's just, I always push my finger down on this so I get it exact. 1. Now you might find you need a little bit more. That's fine. Leave your milk over to the side. Let's mix it and find out how much we need. You just want it so it's spreadable. And then what we'll do is we're going to add in the peppermint essence. So you get a lovely peppermint flavour, not only from the base, because it's quite mild, but you definitely know it's pepperminty, but by adding the peppermint essence in, just takes it to another level, let's be honest. And it's 1/4 teaspoon, all right? So this is where you get your measure spoon out. There's 1/4. Just gently pour in. And there we go. I know, how fabulous, peppermint bubble bar. Oh, wrong lid. I'm trying to put the milk one on the peppermint essence. All right, so now let's mix this together. And I'm going to put a little bit more in. Let's just say 1/2 tablespoon. Let's see, I really think it's important to go slowly when you're adding moisture to your icing, because all of a sudden it'll get really thick, and then it's all of a sudden it's really thin. So I'm just going to, a little bit more. Oh, I can smell the peppermint. And look how lovely and chocolatey it looks because of the Play-Doh. I'm going to put a tiny bit more, just a little bit more, because you want it to spread fairly easily. There we go. That looks good to me. What do you reckon? Okay, so all it does is go on the top, spread it out, let it set, okay? Let it set because you can't cut it until the icing has got set. So let's put the icing on. And I think you'll find, like if you're going to me, oh, I don't really like peppermint, I'm not interested. Well, don't forget, we've got the light Mars bar in book 3, and we've got the marshmallow bubble bar in book 4. All right, so spread that icing out. You don't need a really thick amount. You just need to make sure there's some icing on all of it. Now what you're going to do is, if you want to win book 2, which as I said to you, it's got the Christmas section in it as well, remember, I'll tell you what you have to do, because I'm in the mood to give away. That's right. It's very easy to win. All you have to do is like, look up at me, thank you Billy, you need to like, share, and then in the comment on your phone, which is the better way to do it, you take a photo of your peppermint bubble bar. Oh, look at this. I just want to bathe in it. Oh, it's so gorgeous. There we go. Another fabulous recipe. Booyah! We're done. So now next week I'm going to be making a fantastic recipe, but I'm sure you'll be back again on Thursday hopefully to join me for another fabulous cooking lesson or cooking class. And I'm going to be making on Thursday beef chow sim. I know I always do that with my little sim name. In every book there's something that I do that with. So beef chow sim out of book 6. I'm going to be making that. I'm going to wok it up and get you cooking that one. And then next Tuesday, recipe will be on the website for you so you can download it. And hopefully this recipe will be correct. Remember, it's 4 patties, not 3. And next week's recipe is going to be out of Cooking for One or Two, and it's the fish Italiano. I love it. We have it a lot because it just takes fish to another level. It's got a crusty top to it. I know, it's fabulous. So now, if you want any more tips or recipes, you know where to go, simply2good.com.au. Don't forget to sign up. It's not too late for the mentoring program, and you just go /mentoring to find out more. I mean, at the end of the day, who knew weight loss was so deliciously healthy? I'm going to set this and cut it up, and I'll put a photo in the comments for you to see later. So don't forget to put your photos in so you can be a winner too. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you on Thursday. Bye now.